Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with My Little Pony Make Your Mark, episode 10. And before we get into anything else, we got some big news. This is from Equestria Daily, who is kind of the source of all things pony. But it isn't 100% confirmed as of yet, though they are saying it looks pretty much as legit as you can get. So, let's go over this. So this is a marketing announcement that seems to have been floating around, seems to have been leaked, basically. Most of the stuff with the marketing and the blueprint sections you can ignore. It's just like, okay, there's going to be clothing or whatnot, characters in costume and everything. There's going to be an album. That's pretty cool, though. And apparently there's going to be a new game coming at some point. But the thing to really note and think about is the content section. So as you can see here in the content section, we had the Bridal Woodstock Chapter 4 stuff, which included a special and 6 22-minute episodes. But it shows that sometime between September and October, we're going to be getting 6 more episodes. Which is pretty cool. However, sometime between November and December, we're getting a special and 3 episodes of something called Secrets of Starlight. And this is turning out pretty interesting, because if this is true, then that probably means Make Your Mark is ending with the September-October drop. With those 6 episodes, which would equal out to about 20 episodes and then a few specials for Make Your Mark. And Secrets of Starlight would probably be the start of Season 2 of G5. In which case, Season 2 would have a different title, Secrets of Starlight, which is very fascinating. A lot of people have been theorizing if it actually means Starlight Glimmer from G4, or if it's a completely separate thing. Some people have even been making jokes based on, like, oh, what secrets could Starlight hold? And some people have been saying she's secretly gay, and some of us are like, that's no secret. Like, with the amount of bedroom eyes she gives Trixie, that's no secret. But if that is the start of a new season, that's pretty quick. That's only a couple months after the first season ends. And in terms of reactions and everything, I would obviously be labeling it separately. So it's like there's 3 episodes of that. I would be labeling the first episode of that as Secrets of Starlight Episode 1. Instead of continuing on with, like, Make Your Mark Episode 21. And 20 episodes is still good order, even if it's not like the classic 26 that Friendship is Magic had. And having each season be named something different, I think actually can work. It's still the same series with the same characters, but it has a different subtitle, basically. Subtitle's probably the wrong word. But you know what I mean. There's more info too, I just don't have it downloaded to show you, but I can read it off of here. Because Equestria Daily posted a bunch of stuff about it here in a post they made. So apparently, next year, 2024, is going to maximize the Ponyverse of entertainment, according to this, with about 328 minutes of new content. Tell Your Tale is set to have 4 long-form specials next year, which is pretty interesting. Because Tell Your Tale, to my knowledge, has not had any long-form specials. It's only had the shorts. But there's also going to be new episodes, new shorts for Tell Your Tale throughout 2024 as well. But the main series is also expected to release more episodes in 2024. Makes sense, obviously. With just other G5 content launching throughout the year starting in March as well. There's going to continue to be stuff on like the music channels like Spotify and Apple Music and all, and just various other things according to this. But it shows that they have notable plans to get things really going next year, like even more so than this year. There's even actually some visuals for these specials, these Tell Your Tale specials. They're very basic promotional visuals, so that it doesn't really say anything. But yeah, and it's talking about like season 2 of Tell Your Tale specifically. Also shows the logo for Secrets of Starlight. So this is pretty big why was I saying it like that? Information. Pretty big info. And if this is all correct, that means we've got some really good stuff to look forward to. And I'm pretty excited. But this actually raises a question. Should I react to Tell Your Tale? Like, we reacted to a little bit, I think, like, the first 4 episodes. Let me check real quick. Because I could check real quick. I have my, studio open on YouTube. Yeah, we did a first impressions review. So we didn't even do a reaction. We did a first impressions review for, it doesn't say here, but probably the first, like, 4 or so episodes. And yeah. So there are some episodes I would have seen, but I'm wondering if I should do a reaction to that, because Tell Your Tale seems to be getting a lot of attention too. Obviously, I do them in batches, do a bunch of them at a time. And there's some stuff I know, and I've heard some songs from past where I got, but I'm just wondering if that would be a good idea. I think it could be. I honestly think it could be. Plus, that would be more pony content for the channel, which could always be a good thing. So I might do that. I'm gonna have to think about it, like, while we continue on with this chapter of Make Your Mark. And obviously, I'll announce it for sure by the time we finish this chapter. By the time we finish episode 14. But I might want to do it because I don't know. It just, maybe there could be more info given in Tell Your Tale that expands on it. Because I see Tell Your Tale as canon, obviously, to Make Your Mark, but is not going to really affect it too much. Like, it technically is canon to Make Your Mark, but the events of it aren't going to really be talked about or showcased at all. There might be a couple things that correlate, but all in all, it's kind of, it's still its own thing. You know what I mean? Like a soft canon, I guess, would be a way to put it. But it still could be fun to react to. Sure. Even if I don't like the art style as much as the CG one. I actually really have gotten used to and started to really like the 3D models for these characters. I think it works better than the 2D style they went with. Anyway, let's actually talk about things. So, last time we had Pip and Hitch getting a song together and adding massive fuel to the ship. But we also had Misty kind of losing her fucking mind, which is both really funny and really sad at the same time. It's like you genuinely feel bad for her because she's like legitimately cracking from all the pressure that Opaline is putting on her. But at the same time, it's kind of funny to see her losing her mind and talking to inanimate objects as basically imaginary friends. But that also brings it back to being sad because she's having imaginary friends because she doesn't believe she has real friends, even though the main five would say that she does. They would definitely be her friends. And it's just like this back and forth between slightly funny and actually really depressing. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where that all goes. Because Misty is being told once again to get Sparky. Name escaped me for a second. To get Sparky, she does not want to. She actively does not want to. She says it's because she doesn't want to deal with that kind of thing again because it was so much chaos last time. But let's be honest, we know that she also doesn't want to because she knows it's wrong. Misty is very much showing that she does have a good moral compass and is genuinely trying to do good things. She's only following Opaline because she wants her cutie mark more than anything, and she believes Opaline can give it to her. Which I don't think she actually has the power to do that. Even when she's supposed to get all this power, supposedly. But I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm thinking maybe Misty will start to go through with it, but then maybe change her mind, realizing it's wrong and realizing that the main five will be her friends. Maybe even they'll help her get her cutie mark. Like, that's the only things I can really think of. But we'll have to see. Excuse me. Last episode also had a notable return for Sprout. He's like had a cameo once before, but never really had a big return. But last episode had that because they were trying to repurpose the old Cantor Logic factory that belonged to his mother and then temporarily to him. Although he claims he still owns it. But yeah, we got good speaking parts for him, and yeah, obviously it's just not the same as Ken Jeong. But let's be honest, who could be? Ken Jeong has such a notable manner of speaking, and he is so goddamn funny. Like, without even necessarily trying to be, that it's like you're just not going to be able to match him. But the new VA for the series and everything does do a good job still. Very much so. He gets the personality very, very correct in terms of his whininess and, stupidity. Just like all the VAs who took over for the series, because celebrity VAs would be too expensive. It's like all of them have done a really good job. They really have. It sucks not having the celebrities there, especially since like a couple of them probably wouldn't cost too much, but I guess they didn't want they didn't want just to bring back a couple of them and not have all of them come back, because it would feel like, I don't know, favoritism or something. I get it, but I mean, you probably could have gotten Kimiko Glenn back without too much trouble. James Marsden obviously would be an issue. Vanessa Hudgens would be an issue. Ken Jeong, obviously. Phil Lamar, you probably could have gotten back without too much. Like, yeah, he probably costs a lot because he's a pretty big name in voice acting, but not as much as like a lot of these other celebrities. They probably could have gotten him back. But again, it's like you just have to like deal with the fact that the celebrity voices were legitimately a marketing strategy. They were a way to get people interested, and it worked. But they had to change the voices after because they couldn't afford to keep them, and that was always the plan. So they got a new cast, and the new cast has been doing great. They've been embodying the characters extremely well. They might not sound like their movie counterparts completely, but as long as they do a good job, that's what really matters, right? As long as the voice acting is so good. Excuse me. Sorry for the awning, early morning and everything. But yeah, I'm excited to see where we go with this. So we're just gonna go. We're gonna get on with this and see what episode 10 has in store. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, if someone said that Misty so far isn't doing much lately, especially this chapter so far, I can't argue with that, but also that's very clearly the point. Like between before with Misty just kind of talking to the imaginary friend she made up and just kind of cracking a little bit, to this episode her just kind of not really knowing what to do next, and then finding the picture and falling asleep with it, which by the way is super fucking cute. It's like it's very clear that she's having such a massive crisis of conscience that she wants her cutie mark greatly, and she wants Opaline to be able to give it to her, but she's understanding that the stuff she's been doing has been wrong. And that Opaline is, let's be honest, a bitch. She is realizing this. And she's realizing that she's become happier spending time with the main five. That they've become her friends. And especially after seeing her in the pictures that they were holding pretty dear. Like, that definitely left an impact on her. So it's only a matter of time till she switches sides. I still think it's probably going to be an end of the season thing. It just makes the most sense. But yeah, big things are very clearly going to be coming. And I'm just wondering how it's going to be handled. Is Misty just going to go out one day and just not return to Opaline, just end up staying in Maritime Bay and becoming a good guy that way? Or is she actually going to, like, make it clear to Opaline what she's doing? With Misty, it's hard to say, because she's very much non-confrontational. And in a manner of speaking, that's very much like me. I've been in many situations where I've had to deal with someone either saying really negative things about me, or, you know, misgendering me, dead naming me, and I almost never am able to actually work up the nerve to say something because I'm afraid of what will happen if I do. And the thing is, I know I shouldn't be. I know that I should be brave enough to do that and everything, but it's not really something I think about. It's a subconscious issue that just takes over my mind, and it's like in the moment it's just like I just kind of like just get real quiet and just kind of accept it. And I know that, like, it sucks, but I've tried to be a little more confrontational a couple of times, and it's just, like, my anxiety goes, like, entirely through the roof whenever I do something like that. Like, I've corrected people a couple of times, and it just, I become a mess. And it doesn't feel good, to put it simply. It feels quite bad, actually, when I correct someone. Even if they accept the correction and make adjustments for it, it's like that's great. But the anxiety from just doing that just makes me honestly just kind of retreat into my shell. Out of all the characters in this generation, honestly, Misty is probably the most like me. She's not my favorite. Pip is still my favorite, but Misty is, I would say, the one I personally relate to the most. Because I've been there with being under the thumb, though ponies don't have thumbs, but you know what I mean. Being under the thumb of someone who abused me and was using me. And for a long time, I made excuses for it. And just kind of accepted it. And nowadays, there's a lot that I still, unfortunately, can't get away from. But I no longer make those excuses. I no longer just accept it as it is. I've become my own person and have been able to step away from that kind of just negativity. Not completely because of living situation, but still. It's kind of like in G4, how Pinkie Pie was my favorite character, but Fluttershy was the one I connected to the most because of the timid nature and love for cute things and animals. Also, apparently, anime. I still remember that when Fluttershy had the anime cutouts during that one Halloween episode. I will never forget that. But yeah, it's like just because my favorite character is one character doesn't mean I relate to them the most. Like in G4, Fluttershy was my original favorite until the Friend Indeed episode in season 2, where Pinkie Pie just completely won me over. And in the case of G4, Izzy was actually my favorite at first through the movie, but through the series, Pip had taken over as my favorite. And I've always liked all of them pretty much. And since Misty was introduced, I've definitely liked her. Just not as much as Pip. She's currently my second favorite, actually, though. She has overcome Izzy. She is my second favorite as of current. And I'm going to be meeting her voice actor at TrotCon, Baya Watson. She's going to be at TrotCon. I'm going to get to meet her. It's going to be great. I met Izzy's voice actor last year there, Anasani, the series voice actor, who was also in some episodes of The Boys. Fun fact. So that's interesting. But yeah, I'm hoping that there's some other great guests who are going to be there this year. They've only announced the community guests so far, and 2 of the main guests. They've announced Baya Watson, and then there's a guest who's literally there every year, who's like a lifetime guest, Ellie Ray, who was Mistmane in Friendship is Magic. She was there last year. She's always there. She's a lifetime guest. But yeah, I'm really hoping they get AJ Bridell, because if they get both Pip and Misty, like, that'd just be perfect. My 2 favorites of G5. It's like, plus I've already met Izzy's VA, so it'd be my 3 favorites. But yeah, it's like I connect a lot with Izzy or with Misty, and I think that's why I do like her as much as I do. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I would like her anyways, but connecting with her in terms of personality and timidness and anxiousness and Even the struggle to find what's right and wrong is definitely stuff I've struggled with. It's like the connection definitely makes me like her a lot more. And I'm just really excited to see her eventually, again, probably the end of the season, see her join the main crew. Because it's very clear that she's going to be the sixth member. That's just blatantly obvious. Um, it's just going to be a factor of how and everything she joins. Because we know 100% the others will accept her with open hooves. Like if she goes to them, especially if she explains to them what's been going on with her, um, maybe a couple of them will be maybe a little distrusting at first because, working with Opaline and everything. But after she proves herself, definitely all have come around and they will gladly and happily welcome her in. She'll get probably her own bed and everything in the crystal house and everything, whatever the fuck it's called. It's not Dream House. That's a Barbie thing. I can't think of it at the moment, but they'll get she'll get a bed there just like everyone else has, except Hitch. Hitch actually doesn't stay there. He has his own place with Sparky. Um, but yeah, um, so I'm excited for when that does eventually happen. But yeah, if it's gonna happen at the end of the season, we're probably not gonna get like an actual uh, opening change outside of just getting a new one for Secrets of Starlight for season 2. That opening is going to obviously be different because literally the song for Make Your Mark has been talking about making your mark together. It's literally like directly tied to the title. So Secrets of Starlight would more than likely have its own separate theme, which is completely fine. I'm all good for that. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the rest of this episode. So we had this apparently ancient unicorn sports event, which is just nonsensical as hell. Like there's no logic, no reason to anything that's happening. All the events are weird and silly, and the winner is just pretty much randomly chosen. It seems. There's apparently a rule book, but again, I can't make heads or tails of anything, so I don't understand anything that was going on. I did like the joke though that pretty much all sports looks this way to me. It's like that was such a fucking good joke. That was such a good joke, and it's like I don't even necessarily entirely agree with it because it's like there are obviously sports that I've watched, and it's like I can definitely differentiate them. It's like when I watch sports and everything, they're not all the same by any means. But I understand the joke though. Not actually saying they're all the same or anything, but just saying that it's like you just don't get it, and it's like it just doesn't like connect with you and all. Which for the most part, I could say. Pro wrestling is a sport, by the way. Um, Even if it's not like football or anything. Um, but yeah, it's like that. I understand. I understand baseball. I understand boxing. Yeah, it's just I understand football to a degree. The point is, it's like I understand these sports. It's just more about a disinterest in them and everything. I I'll watch some of them. Like I'll watch football during the Super Bowl, and I'll watch baseball occasionally. If I actually am invited to go by someone to an actual game, like I'll definitely go. But it's like all in all, like sports are not really my thing. Um, I'll watch them occasionally, but it's like there's other things I would rather do, admittedly. Um, so yeah, yeah. Uh, We also had Sparky showcasing some kind of magical connection with the tree, which definitely a callback to stuff that's happened before, and we're still not getting answers on that yet. So I'm wondering when that's going to really come into play. Um, but the big portion of the episode centered around Pip and Zip trying to find out what happened to their mother. She didn't arrive for their brunch. Pip is much more worried about it than Zip is. And they find her eventually at Bridalwood for the event. And it's made clear very, very quickly that she and Alpha Biddle are having a secret relationship. Though it doesn't seem like they're necessarily trying to hide it. It's just ending up being secret because Pip and Zip and others just didn't necessarily know about it. um, the thing is, I don't really ship it. Because the issue I find is that this is like the first we're seeing of this, and we've seen no chemistry really. Even in this episode, like there's not really a lot of chemistry there because it's just kind of like forced on us the idea that they're already in a relationship, and it's just like nothing was built up to it, nothing like was made to allow us to understand it or connect with it or believe it, really. Like, you see, for example, in Generation 4, you see something along the lines of Starlight and Trixie. While it's never directly said they're a couple, it's very fucking clear that they are a couple. It's like it's blatantly throwing it in our faces just without saying the words and everything and having them kiss her or whatnot. But you see how that builds up from their first meeting. You see how Starlight and Trixie do start to care for each other greatly and what they mean to each other. You see that happen. And other characters in G4 as well, Lyra and Bonbon. It's like you see their chemistry even if it's in the background or in the 100th episode. You get to see it in action in a way that feels a lot more natural. Rainbow Dash and Applejack is a big one because they were canonized in the final episode. You definitely have seen a lot with them. You've seen a lot of their competitive edge, but you've also seen them being extremely caring towards one another. So, there's a lot of great stuff there, too. Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich. It's like you see their relationship start and bloom and everything. It makes sense. It works. And that's kind of the point behind all of this. It's like G4 put forth so much effort into everything that when you have relationships bloom by the end, you've actually have seen that chemistry in play. You've seen them actually, like, work up to that to where it feels natural. With this, it's like this is... I understand that this is from the perspective of Pip and Zip being surprised by the fact that that their mother is in a relationship. It's supposed to be like from that kind of perspective. It's just kind of thrust upon them as well. They had no warning to it. They had no build up, and that's the perspective we're seeing it through. But just from a entertainment perspective and all, it just feels off. It's not bad or anything. It just feels off because there wasn't anything to build up to it. So I understand that's more from just a personal entertainment perspective, not so much an issue with the actual presentation, because I get what they were going for. So it's another thing that's never actually stated here. We just can very clearly tell what's going on. Also, there is some more depth to it as well, because we find out that Queen Haven has been extremely lonely since her daughters went to stay in Maritime Bay. Um, that she's had Cloudpuff to keep her company, which has helped, but that she's been extremely lonely and it's been a huge toll on her, which is completely fair. Like, she basically has empty nest syndrome. She's just she's so used to them being around and having such an active role, spending time with them and everything, that having them be so far from home and just not seeing each other all the time anymore, yeah, that's going to suck for her. I understand. I get it. It makes sense. It's kind of sad. And it's good that she's found someone to spend time with. The only issue I have here is the fact that she did have a pre planned thing with her daughters and really should have stuck to that. Like, I get that there's this important sports event happening, and she wanted to be there with Alpha Biddle to support that and, you know, continue to foster harmony between the Pegasi and the unicorns. That's great. That's awesome. But it's very much implied that she could have done both. Like, because think about it. They got there before the event started, right? They got there from Maritime Bay before everything got started. Queen Haven could have easily gone and done the brunch because that was implied that she already missed that by the time the episode started. She could have gone and done the brunch with her daughters, and then they could have all gone together to Bridalwood. Problem solved. She could have done both. The fact that she, like I know things can come up, but this is not a reasonable excuse. The fact that she broke off this prior engagement with her daughters for this honestly kind of sucks on her. It just really sucks for her to do something like that, especially considering she's been missing her daughters so much. Like, you're missing your daughters an excessive amount, but you choose instead to spend that time with Alphabet. I get it. They're in love. That's very clear. Very fine. Whatever. That's good. That's great. You're in love? Awesome. But you don't just break off, especially cryptically like that. Like, I get it. They like to solve puzzles, but that's honestly extremely rude. And also with the anxiety and fear it put Pip into, especially. Not Zip as much by any means, but definitely Pip. Pip was practically having a panic attack over it. It's like, I feel Queen Haven would know that too, and it just feels wrong of her. So the fact that she's the one who yelled at them also feels off because it's like she's the one who did wrong here, not them. Like, honestly, I would say they did practically nothing wrong at all. Like, them even, like, questioning things at the end there, right before she yells at them, it's like, that's not wrong for them to do, given this situation, given what you did. It's like, what? Uh, I just, I'm just a little irritated by that, admittedly. And it's not even it's not even entirely just against the writers and all. It's just I guess it's just like a thing that I just tend to not like in shows and movies and all. I wouldn't say it's like necessarily bad writing. It's just because people will do shit like that. It's just something that actively annoys me. Queen Haven was entirely in the wrong. Not for falling in love with Alphabiddle, that's perfectly fine. But for the way she handled this situation with the brunch date and with this sports event. She had absolutely no reason to handle it as poorly as she did. And it's disappointing. But I do hope their relationship goes well. I genuinely do. And we'll see what happens. So, now, we just move into the next episode next time. So, we got 4 more, 11, 12, 13, and 14 in this chapter. And then we're going to have more coming out between September and October. So, not too long of a wait. Only like 3 months. That's not too bad. 3 to 4 months, somewhere in that range. That's very doable. So yeah, not too bad there. And then apparently at the end of the year we're gonna get this Secrets of Starlight thing. And then more content next year and everything. So it's just going for it. And that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. We were told last year that we were going to get a good amount of content this year, and it does seem we are. It definitely seems like we are, going back to that picture again. Like, because overall this year, we get 12 episodes of Make Your Mark, 1 special from Make Your Mark, and then 3 episodes in a special for Secrets of Starlight. And with what Equestria Daily was showing as well, next year's going to be even bigger. Because next year, we're getting 4 long-form specials from Tell Your Tale, as well as just more Tell Your Tale in general. We're getting more episodes of Make Your Mark throughout the year. Probably, most definitely specials as well. It's like there's just a lot more happening. You know? And honestly, I can just genuinely enjoy that. I can just be excited about that. For what's to come and what we have already gotten. I'm just hoping that next year we get stuff earlier than June. According to this, according to what it's showing here, there is going to be a long-form special for Tell Your Tale in March. And for the series for Tell Your Tale and for the main series, it's saying it's going to be all throughout 2024. So that implies that there is probably going to be stuff earlier too, at least in quarter 1. It's actually kind of implying that there's going to be stuff in all the quarters. Or at the very least, there's the possibility. They just don't know exactly when it's going to come out yet. But this is implying a lot. Granted, this is all dependent on if this information is 100% true. Because right now, even Equestria Daily is saying, like, we don't have full confirmation and everything. But it looks to be completely legit based on previous examples and everything. So it's like, yeah, I guess we'll see. But I'm excited. I'm just excited. I think G5 has been great. I don't care what anyone says. The question keeps popping up from various places, but I don't think we should compare G4 to G5. Because they're very different shows. They're very different. They have different writers, different showrunners and everything. They're meant to be different. And I'm fine with that. I don't want this. I don't want G5 to just be another G4. That would be lazy, honestly. It'd be lazy and uninspired and just wouldn't feel natural. I want it to be its own thing. And so far, yeah, it's a lot more low key than G4 was. But remember that G4 didn't get its start being as grand and big and excellent as it was. We are 10 episodes into this. Like, as of where I'm at here. 10 episodes in, like a handful of specials and a movie. That's all we've gotten. And yeah, it may not, outside of the movie, it may not be as big as a lot of the stuff that we know from G4. But again, think about like the equivalent of, even if you compared this to the entirety of season 1 from MLP, it's really not that different. Season 1 of MLP FIM. Season 1 of Friendship is Magic of G4, it didn't get going right away. The only recurring story element was the Grand Galloping Gala, and that was honestly pretty minor. Even at the end, even for the finale. Like, season 1 of Friendship is Magic had some great episodes, but overall, it was pretty low-key. Like, it was in season 2 that it really started kicking off. That it really started getting bigger. And then season 3 kind of took that and just, like, took it to an even greater height. And then it just, like, kind of fluctuated between there afterwards through seasons 4 through 9. But it's like, it wasn't, like, the best right off the bat. Of course it wasn't. It took a bit for G4 to get going as well. And it's taking a bit for G5. The thing I think people are expecting G5 to be just like G4 was at its peak, at its best episodes, but they're expecting G5 to have that right from the start, and that's not realistic. That's not good storytelling, and it just wouldn't work. If they tried to do that, it would destroy the show. The show would just have to be canceled because it would be terrible. And the viewers would drop, and it would ruin G5 if they tried to do that. That's why they started off with a movie. Because with a movie, you can do something like that. And so that way, when you actually start off the series, it's allowed to be a lot more low-key, because you've already had the big premiere with the movie and everything. So now you're allowed to go back and have the series start off more low-key and build up to it in a more natural sense. So the entire arguments that we continue to see that, oh, G5 is not as good as G4, it's like, shut up. G5 is just as valuable and just as good as G4, just in a very different way. It's meant to be different, it's meant to feel different, it's meant to look different. It's not the same series. It's a sequel series, yes, but it's not meant to feel like G5. That's not how this works. And here's the thing, if you just genuinely aren't as into it or just don't like it, that's fine. You're allowed to not like it. You're allowed to not be as into it as you were with G4. But there is no reason to go out of your way to make this big fuss over it. And especially for those people who have been going after and, like, specifically starting fights with people who do really love it, those people are the worst, obviously. If you're going around starting fights with people who love G5 just because you don't, it's like, why would you... Why? Why ruin someone else's fun because you're not having fun? You just want everyone to be as miserable as you? That's horrible. That's disgusting. Let people enjoy stuff, even if you don't. There's a lot of things I don't like, but I support people who do like them. Because it shows that they find value in something that I don't. And honestly, that's really awesome. And I hope that the same goes in reverse. I hope that people are all good with me finding value in stuff that they don't. It's like, again, just don't attack people for it. Don't go after people. Don't start these fights and these arguments and all this drama. It's like, believe me, we get enough fucking drama from this fandom. We do not need this shit, too. We already have to deal with all these fucking Nazis in the fandom and all these pedophiles who have been uncovered. It's like, we do not need to deal with this shit, too. But you get the point. I just feel like if you're just starting shit and just like debating everything just to cause trouble, it's like just stop. If you just genuinely aren't into it or whatnot, that's fine. If you like G4 better, that's fine. Just don't be an asshole about it. That's kind of my message for the day. There's your life lesson. But yeah, I'm excited to see what continues to happen. I still have somehow remained spoiler free on everything for the rest of this season, so I don't know what to expect. But that's exciting. In terms of the episode, though, I didn't like this episode as much as the last one. I think the last episode was overall better. But I really liked Misty's part in this. I just wish there was more to that. Because I feel like Misty just kind of like got a small part in this just to show that things are still happening and to show that she's bettering herself. I just wish there was more, you know? Yes, partially because she's my second favorite character, but also I just feel like they could have done more with those scenes. But I am biased, I will admit. Either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of My Little Pony Make Your Mark? And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.